Hello Year 7, this is your lesson today on adventure landscapes and caving. So there's three aims got today. First one is to talk about how limestone caves are made, and then we're going to have a look at the biggest cave in this country, and then we're also going to have a look at what some of the problems are with people doing this sport of caving. So first of all, as we go through this video, you can click through the PowerPoint. We've also saved it as a PDF, so hopefully you can get it up and look along as I go through the video. So the first thing is to talk about what a cave is. So if you look at a textbook definition, a cave is just a hollow or a natural passage under or in the earth with an opening to the surface, and they form naturally, caves, rather than being man-made. In terms of what you get when you look inside the earth, there's some words we're going to use to describe some of the bits of cave. So caves tend to be found in limestone rock, which is a rock we've been looking at in this topic. And when you look inside a cave, you've got the actual caves themselves. You sometimes get water, so things like underground streams and underground lakes. You can then also have features that form within the caves, so things like stalactites, stalagmites and pillars are also elements that you see within a cave. In terms of how caves are formed, caves are basically formed through erosion, so it's the movement of water through the limestone that creates these things to form. So you've done a bit of work on how limestone is created, so just a quick recap on that. Limestone is created through as a sedimentary rock, and you have small particles laid down at the bottom of an ocean which then get compressed into limestone rock, and then there's tiny gaps within that, and in those tiny gaps you get water can move through, and as that water moves through, it erodes away the rock. In particular, carbonic acid in rain can dissolve limestone even further to erode that away, and then you've got water then in the caves, and then sometimes that water level can drop. That could be due to a number of reasons. Could be due to changes outside, so like tectonic movement, or it could be changes in the water level. But what that can do is if water levels change, it means you have a cave with no water in it. And then the other thing is if you then have a cave that's not got any water in it, if it just has the odd drop of water going through it, you can get other features forming like stalactites and stalagmites. So that's just some detail about how they're formed. On the bottom of this slide there is also an extension video which you don't have to watch, which has got a bit more detail about how they form. So here we have a picture of some stalactites and stalagmites. Just a reminder that stalactites hold on tight to the ceiling. Stalagmites might grow up from the ceiling there on the floor. When these two join, they form something called pillars. And these features, stalactites and stalagmites, are all collectively called speleotherms. The reason we get them is because limestone itself contains a particular mineral, calcium carbonate, and that mineral is picked up as water moves through it. And then if that mineral is left behind from a drip on a ceiling, then it can leave behind these unusual features that you get in caves, and some of you may well have seen these features within caves. Again, there's a YouTube clip to watch on this slide with a bit more information about how these things form within inside the caves. So that's a little bit about the formation. So then the next bit we're going to look at is the biggest cave in this country. So when you look at the biggest cave, it was only actually discovered 20 years ago or so. It's up in Derbyshire, where we've got limestone again, same as the rock we have around here and also the rock we have down in Cheddar. And it is a cave called Titan. It's 130 metres deep. It was made by this process of erosion of an underground river. And it was formed over thousands and thousands of years. And it was sort of connects up with a load of other caves that are found in that part of the world. So we now come to your first task. So your first task is to consider what sort of equipment you would need if you were going to go caving. So there's a picture of a man here about to go caving. So what I'd like you to do is on a bit of paper, I'd like to draw a picture of a man. It could be a stick man. I just want you to label what things you think you would take if you were going to go caving. So you might want to pause the video while you do this first task. Hopefully, having done that task and not skipped on in the video, you've got some idea about some of the equipment you would need if you were going to go caving. So this next slide has got the names of some of these bits of equipment that you would need to protect yourself if you went caving. So you can check your answers there. And then next up, there's a short video on YouTube all about some people going into this largest cave in the UK. So what you're going to do is you're going to watch this video clip, so you can just click on it and watch it on YouTube. And once you've watched it, there are 5 questions I'd like you to answer. So again, just in your book or on a bit of paper, if you can have a go answering these 5 questions. So watch the video first. Again, you might need to pause this video in order to watch that video. But then the 5 questions are written on this slide. So what equipment do people take, as well as the stuff you've got on your stickman above? How did they get in the cave? What did the cave look like? How would it feel if you were going in there? And the last one is, would you want to go there? And give us a reason why you have your opinion. So that's your second task. And then the next bit we come on to is, how are caves damaged? So these are just some pictures of people going into caves. And basically what we're going to do to start with is just going to write down some ways in which you think caving or cavers could damage this landscape. So again, in your book, if you could just write down some ways in which you think caves might be damaged. There's a YouTube clip here again. Again, you might need to pause this video. On this YouTube clip, just skip through the first minute. It's just rock music and some people getting to a cave. But if you go to sort of about 1:30, then they're actually in the cave, and you start to see some of the things that they're doing in the cave. So if you watch that clip, and then hopefully you've got some of these sorts of answers in terms of how cavers could damage caves. So they might break off stalactites. They might, in the clip you saw someone using a hammer to bash in a bolt and a hold for their rope. You might disturb animals. You might step on some of the more delicate rock like flowstone, or even disturb some of the things that have been left in there by the animals that are in there. So things like guano or bat poo may have been damaged. So these are just some of the ways in which caves can be damaged. This slide is also useful for the next task that you're going to be doing. And your final task, your 4th task, is basically to come up with some rules for cavers. So basically what I would like you to do is, I would like you to give me 3 rules for people going caving. And with each of the rules, I want you to tell me how it would help save the cave and how it would make the cave more sustainable. So the example we've got there is that if you put a gate on a cave, then it would stop people getting into the cave and maybe stealing some of the features like stalactites, which actually happened down in Cheddar Gorge, which you've looked at a little bit. And then the reason that then is sustainable is because it means that these stalactites, which take 100 years to form, are not removed, and people in the future can enjoy these features. So that's your 4th task to have a go at. If you're struggling to come up with rules, the next slide has got some rules which the National Caving Association came up with. And then once you've done those 4 tasks, we'd like you to take a picture of it and send it to your teacher. So whoever set you this task on the VLE, if you'd send them that work, that would be fantastic. And then finally, this is just an optional extra if you've enjoyed learning about caves and you've still got a bit of time left. It's a National Geographic documentary all about the largest cave in the world, not just the largest cave in the UK. So what you had there then is a summary of how caves are made, what sort of things you'd need if you went into a cave, and then finally what sort of damage and ways in which you could stop that damage from happening in caves. Hope you enjoyed this, hope you're all safe, and see you all soon.